talking about a spiritual connection, and I was wondering if there was a moment, was there a turning point with your spirituality, an aha moment when you realized it would become a bigger part of your life, or a driving force for you?
Well, I'm going to drop back just a little bit, maybe a couple of years ago. My ex-wife now got me more connected in church. I give her a lot of credit for that. She was very connected when I met her, and she kept me focused, kept me going. We would sit and read the Bible sometimes together. Probably not as much as we should have. Probably, things would be different. So I give her a lot of credit for opening up some new doors. My good friend and pastor of my church has been there for me as a friend, mentor, and a pastor. So yes, it was probably going to happen anyway, eventually, maybe in another time down the road. But it happened now, to where
the whole experience kind of solidified
the
things
whole
more
experience
for you.
is actually kind of like, I guess, any experience where someone would lose a family member or a home to a hurricane or whatever. Sometimes that tragedy, I know it's tragic at the time, but it also somehow leads you into a different direction. It might be better. And hopefully there's a lot of good things coming from this. If I can bring more awareness and put this in a person's heart, give them a free CD of my music, and they can listen to it, and then if they see somebody out there homeless next time, maybe they're not going to sit there and say, well, if I give them this 50 cents or $1, they're going to just spend it on a six-pack or something. Come on. And being out there on the streets, I saw how very easy it is to get lost in the cracks of the sidewalks in society and getting out of the mainstream. And I know for sure right now, if I were still out there like that, if I walked up to any company and asked for a job, they'd turn me away, no matter my background, just because of the way I look, my whole persona. And so it's not that easy. It's just it's getting to the point where you're going to have some kind of support. Somebody to just kind of just put you in the car and take you and help you.
Well, let's talk about that next. But first, if somebody sees this and they do want that CD or more, they can get in touch with you at Facebook. That's where you prefer to have them go right now.
For now, and I can leave an email address or anything.
Okay, well, we'll give them a Facebook link when we do the website updates and the blog. But let's talk about those people. You impressed upon me when we talked in person how certain people were there for you, and you were almost surprised that I think some of the people that had faith in you and stuck by you, like you've mentioned your pastor for one especially. Tell me about that.
Well, and again, I'm gonna look from both sides. I'm gonna look from the side of the people that judge. The situation that I was in, I have to take a lot of blame for, allowing myself to get in situations. I take that kind of blame.
Sure.
Did a lot of things have to happen? No. Unnecessary things did happen. And when things like that happen, from the outside, people look at it as, oh, I've seen this before.
Here he goes again.
Here we go again. But, I've been through divorce before.
Right.
Okay? Been through relationship problems. This is way, way beyond that. And from their perspective, it's like, oh, here we go again. I know what to expect. I'm stepping back. I'm stepping away. And I was very surprised that my family did step away when I really needed them. I've never been in this situation before.
But on the flip side of that,
have I lost a job before? Yeah. Have I been divorced before? Yes. I've been through that, but nothing like this to where you find yourself on the streets with a backpack and
it's like the perfect storm.
Waiting,
isn't it?
Well, it all just, and nobody's going to convince me that all this had to happen for you to realize, because I realized what I came from a poor family, so everything that I had, I never took it for granted.
Right.
I knew what I had, and I never was reaching for that $1 million lottery ticket. I just loved life for the way it was. So I've always felt like I've always been heading in a good direction. Made bad choices, yes,
Mm-hmm.
So it did surprise me that the people that I expected to be there were not.
But on the flip side,
On the flip side, the few, even a new friend that has stepped forward and
mm-hmm.
has been very supportive financially. I mean, I'm still not where I want to be.
Right.
Even these glasses right here
Yeah.
were given to me.
Right.
So,
You still looking for work?
yes.
Yeah.
But, and that's another thing. I have 27 years of engineering, audio-visual, sound, electronic certifications, and all types of security and everything. Even that right now doesn't seem appealing for me.
Right.
I've been offered a job recently to work with teenagers and with ADHD and get involved that way. I haven't even thought about the pay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just maybe that's where I need to head. Is working with people and not working on fixing things.
That's a good segue. I mean, we're kind of going off the track that I had set up originally for the interview, but now that takes me back to your music and the spiritual connection. And your music seems to have a message. And is that something you see ongoing?
Oh yes, I mean I've just recently started recording a song on Monday in the studio, and I'm going to be finishing it tomorrow. Hopefully, I'd love to do it at the showcase on Saturday, but that's not up to me. And it's also about our perspective on what we see through the windshield when we see someone begging for money, and then it gives their perspective what they see when they're looking at you, judging them.
Mm-hmm.
So that, again, I like to look at both sides. Yes, I've been a judgmental person in my past and say, you know, if I do this, what's going to happen? But sometimes we have to put that aside and just, with anything in a relationship, you know, you take a chance.
Right.
And hopefully something good's going to come out of it.
What would you give as advice for somebody else who may very well be facing the same kind of situation?
My advice to someone that's even already in a situation is find something to believe in.
Right.
I've seen musicians out there, and I just recently just posted a video that someone sent me on Facebook where an engineer, sound engineer, went around the world and recorded different musicians on the streets or in villages in Africa or somewhere singing Stand By Me.
Yeah, I saw that video myself not too long ago.
Awesome.
Yes. Yes.
And you know what? There are musicians out on the streets playing. I remember one that was in Greensboro a while back that played saxophone everywhere you saw him on Tate Street, High Point Road.
Mm-hmm.
You knew if you saw him, people were going to give him money.
Right.
Because he was good. And I don't see myself standing on the corner playing a guitar for change. But if you can find something to believe in, build around that. If you can make a good friend, if you can find a church, there are outlets because you're just not going to go up, knock on the door and say, hey, give me a job. You're going to have to really get back into the mainstream somehow, slowly.
Yeah.
I'm not in the mainstream right now. I'm still feeling numb from everything. But I know that right now my heart is with writing, and I'm on fire, and I can't stop. And what the frustrating part is when you call a musician, well, I got to go do the baby thing or the mama thing or all that stuff, and, you know, I can't tonight, can't do it that weekend, can't, you know, and because you want to do right now. I mean, if I had a studio like this is where I would be 24/7.
Right.
I'd have an album by next month. But that's the direction I'm heading, is to a full CD. And, not just with this type of music. I've been offered to do some jazz and vocals and we'll see where it goes.
I want to thank you for being here,
Yes,
and I'm
sure.
going to now ask you what you told me was the toughest question on the list. And that is, if you could do one thing over in your life, what would it be?
Probably the most important thing in my life would be change my priorities.
Mm-hmm.
That was a hard question for me to think about. A lot of people think about, oh, I'd love to choose a different job, make a lot of money. I honestly think that if some of my priorities would have been different, I could have been more successful in a career. I could have been more successful in a marriage. A lot of probably better things would have happened spiritually with myself, health-wise, everything. I think some of my priorities have been just kind of backwards.
Sounds like
I don't know
now,
if that makes sense.
but sounds like now maybe the priorities are in a little better order.
The priorities right now, like I told you before, is I always put music kind of in the back burner, like, you know, I'll just play it whenever I need it.
Right.
Now it has become part of me, and it's who I am, and I'm just going to go with that. And so I'm going to, and I'm also thinking I'm not letting myself get into situations. If I see flags, see situations, I'm kind of avoiding that as much as I can.
Yeah.
So that's part of my priorities.
Right.
And I think that's the best way I could probably put it out.
Well, I know some of what we talked about today was probably a little difficult and a little personal, but I appreciate you being willing to do that and
No
come
problem.
here, and I thank you for sharing with me.
Sure. No problem, Chris.
Much success to you, all right?
Thank you.
Danny Sparks, Kris Ferris, this is featured artist at Two Egrets Media and Recording. Have a great day.
Journey on a train, running from the things, things that broke me, stuck me in a place at a time. Walk the roads alone, talking on my own.